What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Explosion Network's review of Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. And what a Colossus it was, fellas. I've got Nick Pryor joining me and Jack Cruz. I'm Jono Peck. Let's get into it, guys.
Yes, let's.
Let's start off with maybe just general thoughts. We won't do any spoilers for maybe the first few minutes. We'll definitely let you know when we're getting into that territory. But for now, no spoilers. What did you guys think of the story overall? Actually, no, we'll start with the gameplay. Gameplay, what did you think?
I thought it was a first-person shooter.
Yeah. It's funny. Of all the things in the game, I was probably let down the most by the gameplay. It was probably the thing that was my biggest negative. I just felt like it felt a little clumsy at times. Like it didn't feel as tight and like responsive as the New Order and the Old Blood. I don't know what they changed something or updated an engine or something. I felt like at times I was just spraying bullets into walls and I couldn't seem to get the crosshairs onto the enemies or the Nazis. But it was still super fun. I just it's not a massive complaint, but I just felt like it wasn't quite as tight and on point as the first games on PS4.
What do you think, Nick?
Yep, I liked it overall. I don't know if it was just me, but the movement felt different. Like it felt a lot more sloppy,
fast?
Kind of.
Like really fast. Yeah, I felt the same.
I didn't have precise control over it.
Yeah, I felt the same.
But, yeah.
And I thought so. I mean, we can talk about this a little bit later, but there's something that happens very early on in the game that gives you gives your body a certain, I guess, apparatus
ability.
And that's what I sort of put it down to because I felt like, and I streamed a bit of the game, and I was talking about it during the stream that at times when I was sprinting, I felt like I was just flying through levels and not even like I was going really, really fast, and I wasn't sure whether it was part of having this apparatus on the body or whatever. But I felt like the movement was really slick, and sometimes I felt like I was you'd swing around. About halfway through the game, I turned down the look sensitivity just to give myself a little bit more control, and that helped a little bit. But I still didn't feel like it was as just punchy and tight as the first ones.
Do you think they'll try to make it faster, a lot more along the lines of what they had with Doom, maybe?
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Obviously, Doom got quite a good reception for that fast-paced, bombastic combat, and this game certainly has that in spades. So quite possibly they were trying to go down that route.
I didn't seem to have that issue. It might be the way that I played, where I usually tried to go as stealthily as possible. And if it did turn into a firefight, it was usually from cover. So I wasn't like jumping around, running through levels so much, unless I was running away from the Nazis.
Yeah, I felt like the stealth in this game was a lot better than in the first games. I felt like it was not easier, but like there wasn't times where I felt like I was walking up to an enemy and they were just turning around for whatever. As soon as I got up to them and sounding the alarm. Was there a difference between having the axe compared to the knives, or was it just an aesthetic thing? But it's so much better having the axe.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot more fun.
And it's
brutal too.
Yeah,
that's something we should point out. Like some of those kills, they're brutal.
And that's probably the most fun in the game is sneaking up on the Nazis and hatchet to the kneecap and flinging them around. And I felt like the stealth was really fun. I played probably in the opposite way to you as far as the gun combat. I didn't really use the cover at all because that was another problem I had with it. As I felt trying to do the lean out thing as well, I felt just too twitchy. Like you make this sudden movement and you're out and then you're back in, and it didn't feel like it worked at all really for the cover.
It was it did take some
getting used
finessing to get
it's hard,
used to that system. But
the lean, it was like I didn't use it at all really myself. Like, I don't know. It just seemed too clumsy. Like you had to hold this button, then move the stick, and then aim with that other stick, and then.
But it was just like fling in, fling out. I stopped using it after at the very start of the game. I tried when so you start the game. This is not a spoiler really because it's literally the first minute of the game. But you start the game off in the wheelchair, and you're coming out of like a room. And I tried to play on the hardest difficulty to start, and it did not work out well. I gave up trying to use this cover system pretty much straight away because I was just getting destroyed within like a couple of shots. So
yeah. Back to the stealth
difficulty though. I think that's when you would need the cover thing, because there's no other way to get through.
Yeah, exactly right.
When you're on that difficulty. But yeah, what were you saying, Nick?
Yeah, back to the stealth. Because I played 1 and Old Blood pretty stealthily, but I felt I couldn't get the stealth down pat. Like there was just something not clicking.
There was sometimes where it's like, how did they see me there? And like, knowing how far they could see was a bit of a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, I felt like on the higher difficulties, they probably were a bit more responsive and they could see quite a distance. And something that I found frustrating was when you go to the areas where they have the commanders, and they can set off the alarms and bring reinforcements. It was almost like as soon as a Nazi saw you, even if you kill him straight away, it still set off the commanders with the alarms.
Well, there was it's got the same perk system, and like I think it's with each Nazi officer you kill, like each one you level up delays the alarm more. Yeah. So
sure.
Yeah, straight away, like at the beginning of the game, it's immediate.
Yeah, exactly right.
The thing I liked too was each like progress you made to that, even when you died and reloaded, that progress saved.
Yeah.
So if you really wanted to game it, you could, go and kill that Nazi officer, die, come back and do it over and over and over again to build up that one particular perk.
For the perks, yeah.
First games did that as well. Did the same with the collectibles, is that you could run in, get whatever collectibles you needed, die, and you'd have them. The only things that I found didn't stay over after a death were the weapon upgrades in this game. You had to go back and get them if you died in between checkpoints, which I understand why they did that, because you could upgrade your gun and it help you get through an area better or something like that. Yeah, made sense.
Yeah, and we've talked a little bit about it already, but how did you guys find the difficulty spikes in this game? Because it's been one of the main criticisms I've found, is that it goes from pretty standard first-person shooter into these areas where it's just like, and you just get demolished.
I played on the 3rd hardest difficulty.
Do or die?
I forget what that one was called.
I think we all started on that. I finished on that, and I
thought there was another one higher than that one.
I started...
There's Bring It On or Bring 'Em On or something like that too.
Yeah.
So I started on I Am Death Incarnate, which is the hardest difficulty, and I couldn't even get out of the first room. I literally was just, as soon as I poked my head out, it was one shot kill. I'm like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So I dropped down to the next one, which is I Am Terribilly, and same thing, was just, I made it like another few meters, but was just getting destroyed. So then I dropped down to Do or Die, I think is the next one.
Yeah, I think that's when I played through it on.
And I played through the rest of the game on that until the very final boss fight, the final battle. There was no way. I had to drop it down, and I ended up dropping 2 levels after that because I just need to finish this game, and I'm going to be here forever if I try.
There were parts on that difficulty that I felt like I was beating my head against the wall with, especially like parts where you come through and it's like an arena and you have to kill everyone before you can get through.
Yeah, and the damage just happens so quickly.
Yeah,
you go from like full health to no health in like. Depends on the enemy, I guess, but sometimes it felt instantly. Yeah. Like it didn't matter if you were full health or not.
It also felt like sometimes the enemies just snuck up on you and they just sort of appeared from nowhere. And I don't know whether that's just me not being aware, spatial awareness or whatever, but I found sometimes I'd be in a spot and I'd be mowing down Nazis, and then all of a sudden there'd be my health would start going down and there's a Nazi by next to me who's just mowing into me, and he just seemed to appear from nowhere. But not a massive complaint.
No. And one thing that they did have going for it, if you wanted to play this way, which I certainly did with some of the assassination missions, is you can save the game anywhere. And that was really helpful. You could like kill an enemy. If there's no one around, quick, save the game. And then just take it from there. And kind of the way that I played Mega Man Legacy. It's like, I got past that enemy, save.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's go on to the story. No spoilers at this point, but maybe just what did you think in general terms? I really liked it. I didn't have many issues with it. I think that they did a really good job telling an emotional story. And there was certainly a big focus on that side of things, I think.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. Like, I felt it was a bit more, I forget the word, pulpy, this story compared to the last one. It was a lot more over the top in certain ways.
There was some bizarre stuff in there that we'll get to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it as well. When I've played the New Order, I absolutely like. The story was great. The gameplay was fantastic. This game was far and above. The story was fantastic. I loved it. I loved all the characters. The thing I love the most about this is what Machine Games has been able to do with this franchise and breathe life back into it and make it relevant again and turn BJ Blazkowicz into a character that you actually care about and not forever he was the silent protagonist. He was the Duke Nukem. He was the Space Marine. He was just the meathead soldier who went in and slaughtered Nazis. And that was fine for the 90s and the early 2000s. And now people want some substance in their games. And they've really done it. And given him a story that is emotional and like you care about him and what's happened to him. And I know we'll probably go into it a little bit deeper, but there was points in this game that I was like, ugh, like tugging at the heartstrings.
The heartstrings, yeah. Okay, maybe it's time to get into spoilers then.
I think so.
You've been warned, watchers, listeners.
Leave now if you haven't played it.
Leave now. Maybe come back for the last couple of minutes for our overall review, like our ratings, if we're going to do ratings.
Pause it, go and finish the game, and then come back.
Yeah, then come back. It'll only take you a few hours. Man, there is some weird stuff in this game.
Yeah.
They went all out. And I know that it's always had an element of kind of, futuristic, alternate, whatever, like with the mechs, like Mech Hitler, even way back in Wolfenstein 3D. But like the decapitation thing, like the assassination of BJ Blazkowicz was the big twist in the game to me.
Yeah.
And the fact that they found, like, when that happened, I was like, okay, where are we going from here?
Yeah, I thought it was like a dream sequence or something again, because just before that, you did the one where you busted out in the courthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that courthouse scene was awesome. And to have that as a dream, I was like, oh, I died so many times.
Yeah, I know, me too.
That was one of the
that doesn't make any
parts.
sense.
Yeah. That was the thing. Yeah. I was streaming at that point, and I actually said during stream, I'm like, because he busts out, I'm like, oh, that's a bit convenient. How long has he been captured for? And all of a sudden he just breaks out in the middle of the courtroom. Yeah. That's a bit convenient. This must be a dream. And then spent another half an hour or so trying to get past that bit. Yeah, and I finally get past it, and then, he wakes up. I'm like, nailed it. But it's funny, the decapitation bit, and this is one of the things that this game does really well, is the intel and the readable collectibles that you find. They're by far and away the best collectible just about in any video game, because they tell stories about the world that have nothing to do with anything. They're just postcards from people to people. Yeah. They're letters, they're newspaper articles about stuff. It just builds the world, and it does it so fantastically.
Even the albums you can find of the in-game music.
The music's really good.
The
music's really good.
Yeah, the German version of the Beatles.
Yeah. But the thing with and this is the other thing, is so many times, even in this game, the Old Blood, in the New Order, is you find little bits of like these collectibles, these newspaper clippings, these things, and they tell a story, and you sort of go, that's a weird thing to just throw in there. Like, okay, it's just all intel, but they all seem to stick in your head. And I found a bit of intel that in one of the Nazi compounds that spoke about a Deathshead, that's how you say the
the Jewish
people.
Thing,
yeah. So they talked about a contraption or the Nazis were trying. No, what was it? It was a So they were using this technology to try and build a super soldier. When they were trying, they're like, all right, so we're going to put this head on this manufactured body. Like they were trying to, and I'm like, and I found it like very early on in the game. I'm like, it's another cool bit of intel and whatever. It was in my brain, and then I put it to the back, and then that happened. I'm like, holy fuck! I remember reading about this, about them trying to do that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think you can see the body in Set's lab or something as well during the
I'd never noticed beforehand.
Yeah,
it does a fantastic job of world.
I'm sorry. Did you need this boat? Yes, motherfucker.
At the assassination point when they decapitated him, I was almost like, I just sort of went, I'm like, well, we've come this far. Like, I'm sort of surprised, half surprised. And then they catch the head. I'm like, I see where this is going. I thought it was like in that world. I'm like, I'll buy it.
It totally makes sense in that world. That's the thing. It's like, okay, you don't even question it really.
100%.
And the other crazy thing was, I don't know if I was like half paying attention. Maybe I was looking at my phone or someone was talking in the room. But when you end up on Mars, I was like,
it's Venus. Sorry,
Venus.
Is this Mars?
No, it's Venus.
No,
I was like,
Venus. Yeah.
Sorry, Venus. Yeah, sorry. When you end up in Venus, I was just like, okay.
Yeah, no, you're actually on Venus.
That's a thing. Like,
that was the best scene.
Just get in a spaceship and fly to Venus.
Oh
like,
my God.
I'm sure it doesn't take very long to get there.
That was my favourite part of the game.
Yeah.
That just not
the Hitler part or that level.
The Hitler part. So when you're in that room with Hitler,
yeah.
He walks in.
Did you guys kill Hitler?
Yeah. Could you do that?
Get that trophy?
Yeah,
like
you kick him in the head.
Do that.
Yeah, you can gutter stomp him. When he's like, okay, your turn to go and fight the dude, you can while he's lying there on the ground, you can curb stomp him. It's fantastic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's great. I did it
Do you
3 or 4
die
times.
straight afterwards? Or
you just instantly.
They shoot.
They
shoot you down, like the guards, and they shoot you. But I was like, hell yeah, I'm not passing up an opportunity to gutter stomp Hitler. That was so cool. And
Nick didn't.
No, I didn't realise it was a thing.
Yeah, I love how he comes in and he's this crazy, senile,
disgusting,
dying, vomiting dictator, and he's paranoid, and that was so cool. I love that. That was like the perfect sort of
characterization of him.
Oh, most definitely.
Like where he would be 20 or 30 years after the war.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
And that was another interesting thing. Like, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, I don't know about you guys, but my biggest gripe with the game was there wasn't enough interesting locations. Like you go to bombed in New York, you go to bombed New Orleans, you go to dilapidated Texas.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to go to some
I loved being in Roswell. Yeah.
I wanted more of Roswell.
So
I wanted more of that. Like
small town America.
The part that I really enjoyed was just walking around Roswell, undercover, I guess, and just listening in on people's conversations and going into shops, the ones that you could actually go into.
Yeah.
I really like that element of it, and I like that in the previous game when you're on the train and you're talking to that Nazi leader and she's asking, about your background and all this kind of thing. I really like those conversations. They remind me of like Inglourious Bastards and stuff like that. But I wish there was a little bit more of that, and I understand why they don't have that because it's not that kind of game, but it is interesting, and I do wish that they had utilised those locations a bit more, especially with the potential for it is interesting to see how they incorporated the racist side of America into this world.
The KKK.
The people who were sympathising with the Nazis and things are better since the Nazis took over.
Yeah.
And I wish that they had incorporated that a little bit more with the KKK in terms of maybe being able to stop a lynching or some kind of KKK event where the Nazis and KKK came together. That would have been pretty cool. But,
I love in the conversations and the small world building, like collectibles and stuff, that they think that the KKK are absolute fucking imbeciles.
Yes, that's
They absolutely hate them.
And they're talking about, they're like, I read some really good things about that. That was quite funny.
Yeah, and Area 51 was pretty cool as well, to have that implemented in that way.
I don't know, like even like those areas, they all felt similar, like going through Venus is the same kind of like industrial.
Yeah, the inside the
research
and
thing
that.
is the same as Area 51 and the bunkers. And
yeah, it's a good point.
There just wasn't enough variety in environments for me.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I think that's what I was looking forward. Yeah, that's what I was looking forward to the most in this game was,
especially being America.
I'm like, cool. We are going to be fighting in America. This is going to be awesome. We're going to be in like towns, and we're going to go and through rural cities and this kind of thing. It's going to be great. And it wasn't enough of that. And I feel like there maybe I feel like they're maybe leaving that for the next game. I want to talk about that a little bit later, but where I think this franchise is going, I think is really exciting.
They had a bit more of that in the Old Blood, which was the zombie DLC.
The Old Blood, yeah.
The Old Blood,
the Old Blood. Like, they had the villages and the towns and that kind of thing. Yep. So maybe they wanted to go away from that for this game, but yeah, it could be coming back.
Possibly.
I liked the... Like, we were talking about the depth that they gave BJ and giving him this, like, emotional center of mourning the loss of Caroline and obviously having the pregnant
Anya
girlfriend, Anya, and all that kind of thing added a lot to him. But going back and seeing some of his childhood and seeing how he was raised, the scene with the dog, the scene with his dad, and then going to the farm.
I didn't
shoot the dog.
No way.
I tried to shoot the dad.
Yeah, I'm trying. You can't quite get it.
Nah, you can't. But going back to the farmhouse, that was really cool. And I thought it was just going to be like an exploration level where you take some time apart from all the Nazi killing, and then his dad shows up and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah,
this just got really intense.
That was really... I like that part of the game for me was tough to play through, like all the memories and stuff, and seeing his dad be an asshole. And then I think it's the last memory that you see before you go into the room to see him is like his dad actually...
He's trying his best,
The monster scene where he's like, the monster in my room or under my bed, and he's like, oh, well, let's go and get the monster then, son. Yeah, like that was... I was like, oh, wow, like he wasn't always that asshole dad. Even though he still like loved him to a way. So... it was a really intense scene, like the whole thing. Obviously, the start of the game as well, and that confrontation with his dad at the when he walks into the room and he's there, and that was full on. That was
some good writing there. Like to even have that moment happen, regardless of the dialogue, is a really interesting idea, and it felt cinematic.
Yeah,
it added a lot to the game.
Yeah, there are a few scenes like that which I really loved, and. Like there's 4 scenes in the game which I really love. So that scene where he comes in, obviously the Hitler scene, the scene when you meet the resistance in New Orleans. I forget what the guy's name is.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's the best.
That dialogue where he's like, you guys, you sat back and you didn't want to get involved, and now look where we are now, and they're like going back and forth, and there's bullets flying through, and
they're getting wasted, and the guy's playing the clarinet. Yeah, that is so good.
I felt like I was watching a Tarantino movie. That scene, it was fantastic. I thought that was brilliantly written. I really liked. I can't remember her name now. The resistance leader,
Grace.
She was great. The scene with her, and when he meets them, and super special
when she's breastfeeding,
she's having a cigarette, and it was. That's the thing. These games are not just a first-person shooter, bloodbath, kill some Nazis. Now they have these fantastic characters that you really care about. Like when Super Spesh died, I was like, "Holy shit, that sucked!"
And the way he died,
yeah. And then you find out later on that he's like he knew that was going to happen. Like he did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was full on.
Did you? I don't remember that.
Yeah, there's a bit of dialogue. He's like, we've got something special planned. He says something like, he's like, oh, we've got something special planned for you or something. And then someone, I think Anya says something to him later on that Spesh said to her. She's like, oh, Spesh said we had a special plan or we had something special. And you sort of related back, like he knew he was walking in to die there. He was doing it to buy time. He was buying time for them to escape or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was walking into the lion's den almost.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, there's a lot to, like, as we sit here and talk about it, I'm remembering moments and reflecting after finishing the game.
Yeah. I felt for certain...
There's a lot more in there than I thought there would be.
At least in the first half of the game, I felt for certain BJ was going to die at the end of the game, and that was it. Like, he'd take over as someone else, maybe.
With the
internal monologues with Caroline, like, I'm breaking down, just give me your wings just to finish this. And
Yeah, with the
it felt a bit like that old Snake kind of thing in like Metal Gear, where he's like, "This is my last hurrah. I'm getting 12 for this."
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm frustrated. I never found out what that little thing was that he found in Roswell and gave to Set. You never found out
the
key.
He was stressing out over the whole game.
The door handle, right?
I don't know. It was like a key, or you ramble on about keys.
I think the key in my game, Wyatt was like, "Oh, it's a door handle."
No, he's like, "It's a key." He's like, "What's a key without a lock?" or something like that. He keeps going on about it. Yeah, you never do. Yeah. And I think it's probably
there's
like
probably
there's a lot of
back next game.
Yeah,
DLC.
There's a lot of DLC to come with this game. I think there's like 3 or 4 pieces of standalone DLC to come. Obviously, this game's going to continue
standalone.
on.
Yeah, it's not standalone. It's separate stories.
Separate stories, yeah.
So each one's like a little vignette of a different character.
Yeah. But the thing I'm most excited about with this franchise is how, I mean, at the end of, and you can sort of see the way they left at the end of the New Order. You don't like everyone thought BJ dies at the end of that game. You're like, oh yeah, he leave him. They're going to nuke the thing. Okay, but I replayed the New Order before I started number 2, the new Colossus, and you don't actually see him die. I was convinced that I remembered. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember the bomb going off. That doesn't actually happen at the end of the New Order. Like, you don't actually see the bomb going off. You don't see him die. So they didn't retcon anything. They left it open, and I love how this game ended. And they're like, this is now like, we're here now, and they've left so much open that they can continue on with. This series can go in any direction. This could be a open world game. The next game could be an open world game where you're going from city to city, like Far Cry or something like that. They continue the way that it is, just a linear story based game.
Let's talk about the last fight and the ending before we wrap up. We're about 27 minutes in now. I loved the last fight. I loved that you knew that it was going to be a big challenge because you got that gun before you went up there, that special gun. Yeah. And then the enemies weren't, I think they were kind of unique to just that section of the game.
No, I think the only ones that were unique were the taller, the big bulking dudes, and then there was the last 2 big taller ones, and they have the same gun that you had.
Yeah, and I kind of appreciated that it was a kind of an onslaught and wave of enemies rather than the classic video game boss that you have to fight like in the first game, because that's kind of, it's a bit played out, and it makes a bit more sense to have I appreciate a challenge and then an emotional ending, and that's kind of what they did with that Tonight Show kind of assassination. What did you guys think of the way it ended?
Sorry, you go, Nick.
No, you go. No.
I thought it was good. I thought, I didn't think that was the end. I just thought this was just another, sequence, and then it's sort of, you get up to the platform, the next room, and you're like, okay, then it's it's how you press square or whatever to exit the level. I'm like, that's the end. I assumed that you were going to keep going and have some kind of other showdown on the Arse Mercer. Yeah, so I wasn't aware that was the last battle. I'm kind of glad it felt right to me. I'm kind of glad that it was, because I got to the I'd played a 3 or 4 hour session to get up to that point a few nights ago, and played that bit for about 30 minutes, and just sort of, I'm like, I have to walk away. I'm not getting any closer to beating this. No way. Started again, and same thing. Just got absolutely just destroyed. Had to drop down a difficulty. Had to drop down a second difficulty just because I'm like, I just need to finish this now. I'm at the point now where I just need to get through it. And it's funny, I beat that section. I'm like, cool, great. I'll bump the difficulty back up for the next little bit, and then it sort of ended. I'm like, oh, cool. And I was ready for it to end. I was, when it got to that point, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm ready for this to be the end of it. I was convinced, though, when you go into the Jimmy Carver show and you're about to take out Frau, because when you're walking behind the crowd and they're all cardboard cutouts?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get ambushed. This isn't it, because it's not a real crowd or whatever. I was convinced that there was going to be some kind of twist there at the end, but lo and behold, axe to the face.
Yeah. I didn't think that. I thought that the crowd was there just to stand in because they wouldn't have anyone near that high Nazi officials kind of role.
Yeah, that's obviously what it was. Yeah.
I mean, I wanted a little bit more of an exchange between her and BJ as she was dying. I felt that would have felt a little bit more vindictive and vindicated, but it was fine. It was good. But the speech after that, I was a little bit underwhelmed by.
It was it
just felt
like and that.
I mean, it's not so much that it was out of place, because I wanted them to do a speech and be like, we just took out your leader.
Everything else,
coming for you.
Yeah, compared to everything else, it did fall flat.
I guess it was more that the way it the way that the monologue went, it was very much like we're leaving this open for another game.
Yeah.
And I can see like the revolution has now started, and this is the start of what will follow. People rise up and fight the Nazis, and I think that's kind of what they're going for. But it just lacked the chills that I wanted from that last speech.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then having that awful cover at the end of the game of "We're not going to take it." That metal cover.
That definitely like we want Doom. Like this, we want Doom. I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was bad.
It was weird.
Yeah, I didn't think it was too bad, but
I wouldn't have minded it if it was just a straight metal cover. But they did it in a different key or something, and it was just like just
what song
the
was
musical side.
We're not going to
take it.
I remember that. Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
No, we're gonna take it. I didn't mind it too much.
Any other thoughts on that last 5 minutes of the game?
Yeah, it ended abruptly. I didn't expect it to be the end. Like it just, like you said, it kind of fell flat for me too. The proposal was fine, I guess.
What would you have wanted though?
To Anya or whatever.
Did you want another fight at the end, or?
That's the thing. I don't know what I wanted, but that wasn't it.
I think I would have just... I think you hit the nail on the head, Jono. I would have liked just a little bit more dialogue between them. Like, maybe... Because it was literally come down the elevator thing, and I was expecting a cut scene. So I think I could have... I think there's quite a bit of dialogue for her to go through, and I sort of cut her off, which I'm disappointed with because I would have liked to have heard the entire speech. Which I can go back on YouTube and watch it, which is fine. But it was almost like you come down thing and she starts shooting at you and then you walk up and it's arm off and then cutscene. I'm like, I would have liked, a little bit more banter between them. Maybe like he's staring her down, she's staring them down. There's some speech about whatever and then boom, then it's done.
Yeah.
But it went too quick.
Also, one other thing that I found kind of weird is that nobody after you supposedly come back from the dead reacted to you not being dead.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Like none of the Nazis that you encounter are like BJ Blazkowicz, like it's a ghost or anything like that. Like that would have been a really nice touch for them to be like kind of scared. At least maybe the first ones that you see.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I guess,
they're having conversations and stuff about you. Like they talk. You can sneak up on a few, and they're talking about. I mean, there's one group on Venus where they're like, he, I had a chance to shoot him one day, and the world was better when Terror Billy was around, and this, that, and the other. So, but I think they could have. I mean, it's a bit hard. You just sort of. In those situations for them to be like, Terror Billy, because it's like dual-wielding assault rifles. They don't really have a chance for banter in those situations, so it's kind of go.
People gotta know they don't have to take this shit no more.
My brothers and sisters of the United States of America, tonight, we, the free people of the resistance, ask you to become one of us.
How did everyone feel about the opening with the wheelchair? Playing the entire level in the wheelchair.
I was fine, and I think it was a response to the first game where you wake up after many years, and you're just like, I'm out of my chair and I'm killing people.
Yeah,
and
it was
the fact that he actually needs that machine, that mech suit to walk. Kind of makes a lot of sense in that context, and it was almost like Caroline was giving him wings because he was in her suit. He was embodying her, and it allowed him to be himself.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of it. I mean, just the gameplay part of it, I just felt like it was just a bit weird. It went too long. I felt like you were in the wheelchair for too long.
Yeah. I guess on that harder difficulty, it was a lot longer than... And that's one thing I'll say, maybe to come full circle back to the gameplay, is that I felt so pumped up. The music in this game is excellent. I want to mention that. Like when the heavy metal riffs or the rock riffs come on at a moment in the game where it's like, okay, it's Nazi killing time. And then you die like times.
10 times. It loses its luster a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. It chills the fuel a little bit too much. But if you played, I think if I wanted to play it again, I would play on the easiest difficulty, and I would just mow everyone down and feel like a total badass, because I think that's how you're meant to feel.
Yeah.
And I think that you do a lot of the time, especially when you get a weapon upgrade, or when you're super overpowered with full tank of ammo, or with a diesel gun, or whatever it is, the laser.
Yeah.
And people just have nothing to offer against you. I think those moments are really awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're kind of
what did you feel
polarized with those moments that you just get destroyed.
Yeah.
Would you think that the game would be too short then if you played through on that easy difficulty and you're just breezing through it?
No, because my playthrough was like 18 to 20 hours, I'm going to say. Because I was trying to stealth sections and do some of the commander missions and that kind of thing. But yeah, and if I'm playing it a second time, that's not going to be a concern anyway.
No. What were you going to say?
That's it.
Sorry.
No, one thing I was going to mention. How did we feel about the apparatuses that he gets, like towards the end of once you get your head lopped off and you get your new body, and it's like pick from the ramshackle or the constrictor or the thing. I mean, I'm like, oh, this is cool, and then I felt like I used it at the very, like, as soon as I got it, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use this, and I upgraded it to the very top, just running through dudes, and then I forgot that it was a thing, and it just sort of came in a little bit too late in the game.
Yeah, it gives you a gameplay adjustment halfway through, which I think they're just trying to keep it fresh, and especially in the post game when you're going around and you can collect all three.
Yeah.
It opens up the game level design in a way that you didn't realize was there. Like, I got the same ramshackles as you, but when I realized what the other ones did, I was like, oh wow, you can approach this area in a totally different way based on which upgrade you use. So it's a clever implementation, but yeah, having it come in at towards like the 3/4 mark might have been better to have one at the start and then you pick up the next two as you go on, instead of picking them up after you finish the game.
You could literally
stilts.
You got the stilts. Okay.
Yeah, they help me a lot. Like when you're on a lower platform, you just like stilt up and just stealthily shoot a couple of guys in the head and drop back down, run around.
Cool. And how did everyone feel about the sections where you're on the boat, where you're on the U-boat, and you're sort of going around and having conversations?
Yeah, that hub.
Yeah.
I enjoyed feeding the pig every time I was there.
Yeah, I only got to do it twice.
Tom would love that. He's a big pig guy.
He likes feeding elephants.
Yeah,
Max certainly didn't play as big a role in this game.
No, I was disappointed in that. I felt like the interactions that you had in those parts were not meaningful at all. Like, there were some cool conversations to listen to, but there was no real character building from like Bombate or even like Sigrid, Frau Engel's daughter, or Anya, or
I liked her.
Yeah, like I liked her, but I didn't feel like that there was any meaningful character building in those parts.
Not with BJ.
And I just felt like those parts just killed the momentum of the game. Like, it moves at such a brilliant pace, and then you're like, cool, now you're back in the thing and run around and do some boring side mission.
I got lost so much in there.
Yeah, I found those to be like a real just drain. Like, that was like, okay, I'm ready to move on, because I'm like, because I ran around for ages because I really wanted there to be some meaningful character building and interaction with these side characters. It was so interesting, but nothing comes of it. You listen to a few side conversations and there's real no interaction with the main side characters. And then it's just, okay, cool, do some fetch quest on the boat and then jump to the next mission. It almost felt like padding. Like, it was completely unnecessary, and it just halted the momentum of the game.
So a few minor gripes, but I think overall we all seem to enjoy it quite a bit. Yeah. What ratings do we want to throw out there before we wrap up?
Well, when I finished it, I gave it a 9 out of 10, but after going through this conversation, it's made me reevaluate and probably maybe an 8.5 now.
Yeah, I think I would be quite similar. But I've probably, reflecting on it, enjoyed it a lot more than I did when I first finished it. When I think back about all the story moments and the things that it accomplished in terms of making BJ, like, he was already a great character from the previous game, but I feel like we know him so much more
definitely
now. I feel like he's even a little bit more unique now in the fact that he is so emotional and in touch with his feelings, and he's telling his friends, I love you, and things like that. Like, you don't really see tough guys doing that, and you didn't even really... I don't think you got that in the first one. I haven't played it for a while. But yeah, I think 8.5's on the mark. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, it's probably a 9 from me. Mainly those... Like, I had a lot of issues with it as far as the gameplay and stuff like that, and obviously those parts I just spoke about then with the halt of the momentum of the game, but the highs in those story moments with those characters, the resistance fighters in New Orleans, the Hitler scene, the scenes with his dad, super special, like some of those characters were just like, they made the game for me, and BJ obviously as well. I thought it was amazing. I absolutely loved it, and I know I will play it again on probably an easier difficulty and just breeze through it.
Yeah, you're not going to go for that platinum?
No chance. No chance.
Yeah, especially when one of them glitched for me, the get one of every collectible, never pop.
I got that trophy, so sorry about that.
I'll never have it. Anyway, thanks for joining us. You can check out the rest of our content over on our YouTube, on Twitch. We're streaming games like Wolfenstein and a bunch of other good stuff. The Explosion Network is at Explosion Pod. Give us a like on the Facebook page, sub on YouTube, sub everywhere, follow everywhere, support us because we're cool dudes and we need your help to make it in this crazy game called the internet. Until next time, keep gaming. Achtung, baby.
Achtung, baby.